Live. There we go.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Frankie here for the Bakersfield Gentlemen with my brother Miguel here at Culebras Lounge in Bakersfield, California. It's actually a warm day, even though we did have some rain early this morning. As you can sound, my voice is still kind of messed up, so I apologize for that. But we do have our special guest here today. He is ready to go. But before we get into that, we also have our final four of our March Cigar Madness. So he's going to help weigh in on that, and we're gonna get it down to the finals today.
This is okay. So we're gonna get one more round in. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
and we're gonna get the winner, and we may do it today. I don't know. We may do it Friday. Depends on how the show goes.
That's true. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm
So,
excited. Yeah.
all right. Without further ado, let's bring on our special guest. This is Justin Moore, aka Justin Neat. There we go. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. So just gave you a quick introduction of you, and I didn't give away too much who you are, and we met over at TP earlier this year, which
Oh
was
yeah,
quite interesting because we were in a converted RV, I guess it was, or a trailer, something like that.
yeah. We definitely were. It was like a mobile lounge. I'd never
Yeah,
seen one before.
yeah, very very interesting. I like the idea of it. Could use another heater or two, but other than that, I
It
thought it was
was a bit cool that night for
yes, it
sure.
was. Yes, it was. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give you a second to let everybody know who you are. So we're gonna jump off or minimize ourselves and give you the floor.
There.
All right. Yeah. So Justin, really just a dude that likes to smoke cigars. I came from the bourbon world, geeked out on that for a number of years. Actually ended up working part time as a brand ambassador for a local distillery in Virginia. So I'd go around teaching people about whiskey, teach them about our whiskey in particular. Pour drinks for them, talk about tasting notes, and then I would have the occasional cigar here and there. And then I started smoking a little bit more. I had my buddy Joe on Instagram. We met a couple years ago. He started sending me cigars. He'd be like, "Hey, send me $100. I'll just send you a nice package of cigars." All right, yeah, that sounds fun. And it pushed me right down in the rabbit hole. And since then, I have been absolutely in love with it. Love learning about it. Love the craft of it. I think I've watched one documentary like 7 times already. So yeah, man, I love it. I love the community. I love going to a lounge. Yeah, basically everything about the cigar industry. I'm really digging, and kind of happy to be a part of it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So now you said you've helped some lounges set up a boutique program. Can you
So
get into that?
yeah, absolutely. So it's actually in its very early stages, but starting a boutique program. There's a shop here called Cigar Town. There are four shops in the Northern Virginia area, and I'm going to be curating a boutique program to bring in smaller brands, raise awareness, to those new and up and coming cigar brands out there that I believe need and deserve the attention. So yeah, we're going to start small. I'm going to be doing an event probably once a month. I'm flirting with the idea of doing some pairings with maybe some rum and whiskey. Obviously, I could talk about bourbon all day long. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Just another way for me to get involved in the community a little bit more. And thankfully, the shop owner is amazing. Treats me like family, and trusts me to do this. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about it. So if we're going to start at the one stop, and depending on how it does, we're going to expand to the other 3 shops in the area.
Well,
Very nice.
that's a really interesting thing to be doing because um, we used to work with the lounge out here, and that's actually something that we tried to do with them. They were big on you know Drew Estate moves, Oliva moves,
Right.
uh, Rocky Patel. That's what they would order, and then uh, come not this TP but the past TP. He lets put in some orders like Aganorsa, Tatuaje, some of the smaller companies, Roma
Right.
Craft, and he saw that these would move too. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I think his humidor is now 50-50, honestly.
Wow.
He's bringing in a lot more boutiques. Dapper's just a couple hours north of us. Sinise, there's a couple hours south of us. Um, and who else is he bringing? Has he brought in HVC,
Mm,
um,
Viaje.
Viaje,
yeah,
Nova?
yeah,
So it's fantastic. Once these foreigners see that those will move as well, then they're less afraid of having that dead space. I think they'll open up,
exactly.
be welcoming to the idea because I love it. You know,
I
um,
totally agree. And we've had that same conversation with the owner here. We sell a lot of big box. You know, Drew Estate, we have a huge account there. We've got 2 Davidoff locations. A lot of Fuente, Placencia, Padron, Cohiba. A lot of those big brands. Right now, honestly, they're the only smaller boutique brands we have in there are Caldwell and Foundation, and we
mhm.
just recently got Aganorsa Leaf in there, which I was really pumped about. So yeah, I plan on bringing in a number of other brands. So I'm already in the works and communication with them, and looking forward to getting them in.
Right.
That leads me to my next question that I have for you. You know, um, what cigars for you right now are smoking well?
Ooh, I definitely have some go-tos. So I have like a number of boxes of the Liga Privadas. I'm a big fan of the 52. I know that's on the March Madness bracket. The 52 for me, I've never had a bad 52. It's always exactly what I need it to be. The nines, the papas fritas. I had one of those Savage Feasts down there at Great Smoke 2 weeks ago down in West Palm Beach. That was incredible. Um, I've been trying a lot of different stuff. TPE was wonderful because I got to talk to a bunch of folks that I don't normally get to talk to.
Yeah.
Actually, you mentioned Dapper, so Ian gave me one of those Desvelidos. I smoked that yesterday, I think. So good. Might have been 2 days ago. I don't know. I've smoked like 10 cigars in the last 2 days. But Peter James has got a couple of cigars coming out. I smoked his
Mhm.
Habano last night. It was delicious. Cavalier. I'm like,
Oh,
not
Cavalier.
only is like Sebastian's just a super super nice guy. Brian is another great dude with them, and I've been smoking a bunch of their stuff lately and really enjoying it. Yeah, I mean, I lately I've been picking stuff that I haven't had yet.
Mhm.
Really, part of it is I'm always trying to better my palate and try something new. And trying to get to a point where I can smoke something and say, oh, this is Nicaraguan or this is Honduras or this definitely tastes like San Andreas. So yeah, always trying to do more. Kind of like when I got into bourbon, it's the same thing. Try as much as I possibly can. I've had probably over 1,000 different types of bourbon, right? Like that's the only way you get your palate to be more mature. And so I'm doing the same thing with cigars all the time.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
No, that makes
Okay.
perfect sense, and I have to agree with you on that T52. They are phenomenal. It's exactly what I'm smoking right now. And before we get too far away from it, guys, what are we all smoking?
So I am smoking. I actually haven't had this before. I don't think we don't have it in the shop. It's the Rocky Patel um, aged, aged limited rare.
ALR. Yep.
Nice,
The
nice.
ALR. Yeah, we don't have it in the shop, and I saw it, so I figured, let me give this one a whirl. Just because anytime I go to a new shop, I'm looking for something I haven't had before, or something I can't get at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I came back from Florida with like 100 cigars.
That's the way to do it, though. Oh my gosh, there's just so much out there.
There
Yeah.
really is. And I love like the sleepers, the cigars. I'm like, yeah, it's a small brand. I'm maybe not expecting a lot, and then it blows me away, and I love that. I smoked Jeff Amendola's West Side Story yesterday. Really good, which really cool story too. That it was it's blended and rolled in New York City at the Martinez factory. I had a really good Nicaraguan Patriot cigar company the other day. Had a good Warfighter. So I've really just been loving the fact that, a lot of these boutique brands are doing really good stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's it goes to show that there was that huge boom again in the '90s we talked about with so many companies coming out, and it feels like we've taken the same idea where there's so many companies now, but the quality has gotten so much better at the same time that quantity and quality are everywhere. You can really find good sticks across a number of different regions, across a
Yeah,
number of different companies. You walk into any lounge, and you're bound to find something either new or something that you love already. And
Oh,
it's great.
absolutely.
and I'll answer your question right now, you guys. I'm smoking the JC Newman Diamond Crown Black Diamond.
Oh, okay.
This has been a phenomenal cigar. We actually had a box of these, and from the first one I smoked, I fell in love. And I may be the odd man out. I don't know. Maybe some people in the comments will agree with me, even though I'm going against Justin, yourself, Miguel, and JP. There, I'm a bigger fan of the number nine. The number nine in a flying pig size has been my go-to, my favorite Liga Privada.
It's good.
The Flying Pig Vitola is awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I had it last week, and I posted about it just because I was pairing it with these Quest Protein peanut butter cups.
Haha.
Dude, it was like the most amazing pairing that I've ever had
Hmm.
with a cigar. I mean, it's just like dark chocolate with peanut butter and that nine Flying Pig. It absolutely killed. It was so good.
Oh heck yeah. Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a try.
So when we spoke before the show, you said that you are a documentary fan. So what kind of documentaries are you into, and are there any that you recommend people watching?
Okay, so the one that really got me geeking out on cigars is it's the one with Klaus Kellner. I want to say Bespoke Unit did it, and it's called From Seed to Smoke, and it's at the Davidoff factory. I mean, I'm not lying. I've watched it like 7 times. And it's like an hour and a half, and Klaus Kellner, he walks you through literally from the seed, and he talks about how they separate the seeds, and then how they plant them, and then they move them, and they move them again, and then they move them finally to the field, and he talks about how they cut, and it's incredible to see how much passion and how many people and how much craft goes into like a great cigar.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, I like learning. So understanding the different parts of the tobacco plant, what it imparts in a cigar. Why you want to do this, why you want to do that. Yeah, so definitely that one. Watched a couple on the history of Cuba,
Hmm.
which is fascinating too, right? Because there's so much that went on there historically over the past 150 years, and then to think about where cigars weaves into that history throughout all of the turmoil and the ups and downs, politically. I think it's just fascinating.
Yeah, that's a really great point too. You think of a lot of people will think of cigars and just see the luxury product that it is, and yeah, it's true. It is. It's at its core, it's a simple thing, but when you expand to the rest of the world around it, the politics, the culture, the history, the art that goes into it, it becomes a living environment of its own. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna have to get some documentary names from you soon, so I can go watch it myself too.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like them in general. I think they're
Hmm.
it's fun to learn. But there's another one. I can't remember the name of it, but my buddy was telling me about it. It might be called Box Pressed or Pressed. I'm not sure. I saw it a couple, maybe 2 months ago. It featured so the Padrones were on there, Rocky was on there, the Newmans were on there, and they were
Hand
talking
rolls,
about what was it? What's that?
hand rolls.
Hand rolled. That's it.
Yeah, it's a great one.
That was a really good one too. I actually want to watch it again.
So
Um,
right now where we're at, it's our private club, and we usually do movie nights on Friday. And I think like 2 or 3 Fridays in a row, we were watching that here.
it's good,
Yeah,
and I like learning the history. Here, it's also fascinating to learn how cigars changed here, and like the kind of the boom in Tampa, down at Ybor City, and then how that kind of faded away and then came back, and yeah. So I geek out on all that stuff. I love it. Yeah, but that was a really good documentary.
Hmm. Yeah, it really
heck yeah.
was. And you have to watch it. more than once to get everything out of it. I mean, you'll be watching it and listening, kind of processing, and then you're gonna miss something else. So you
Oh,
definitely have to
absolutely.
watch it once.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, there's like dates and little bits of history and a little bit of a story here and there, and you can't retain it all in one sitting. Yeah, you definitely got to go back. So that's why I went back to that from seed to smoke. I'll literally put it on in the lounge sometimes just to watch it while I'm smoking and hanging out.
Mhm.
Nice.
Now, there's another documentary that was on, I think it was Hulu, about bourbon and whiskey called Neat. Did you ever see
Mm-hmm.
that? What were your
Seen it
thoughts?
a number of times actually. Yeah, that's a really good documentary. Um, I enjoy it. It tells you a lot about the history of bourbon, where it came from. When I worked at our local distillery, we made rye whiskey, and a lot of people don't know that that was kind of the native spirit here in America after we separated from the British, right? So we
Mhm.
weren't getting rum from the colonies down south in the Caribbean. So we had to look inward for a new grain, and that was rye, because the northeastern states, rye was the predominant grain. So Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, even into North Carolina, were producing rye whiskey. So George Washington here in Mount Vernon was putting out. He was the largest commercial producer of whiskey at the time. Um,
Huh.
so as folks moved west and crossed the Appalachian and they got into like Kentucky and Tennessee, they found that rye wasn't a strong grain there, but rather corn was, and that's what they started using, to produce spirit.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I had no idea. That's
Oh,
that's
yes, it does. So
yeah. It looks
I was reading some comments there.
yeah.
So
It
now,
looks larger than life right there. That's all it is.
It does actually. I had to look at the angle. I was like, yeah, it does.
Oh man. But what was I gonna? Oh man, I got distracted from the comment pool. Thanks a lot, brother. We do have some work to do though today too.
yeah, and we're glad that you're here to help us out with
Yeah,
that. So,
Happy to help.
you have a graphic to show,
I do. Let me pull that up real quick. Give me 1 second. Make sure it's the right one. There we go.
and of course, for everybody else in the comments, we're gonna need your help as well.
So as you see, we have got a couple of really good choices here. I think all four of them are excellent cigars. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
I mean, there's a reason why all four of these are in our final four brackets. So, uh, at the top, those aren't the actual numbers that were seated. This is the ones that we just put them in at the final four, right?
It was yeah, just the final.
Okay. So, the first matchup puts Room 101 12-year anniversary against the JC Newman Black Diamond. Uh, I've only smoked one Room 101 12-year anniversary. I did thoroughly enjoy it, but when it comes to the JC Newman Black Diamond, it's a fuller bodied, uh, full flavored, um, and I mean it. Right now, it's one of my favorite smoking cigars. I can't lie.
It's gonna be a tough fight right
And
here.
yeah, so if anybody in the comments or Justin want to defend Room 101 or talk more about JC Newman, we will
All
open
right,
the floor.
all right. So I will admit, I don't think I've had that Black Diamond, but I have had the 12th anniversary, and I'm a fan. I also had the 11th anniversary, and I was a fan of that too.
Oh heck yeah.
So I'm just by that nature, I'm gonna have to edge Room 101.
Okay.
Very fair point. Very fair point. And it looks like JP's got both of his choices already locked in right there. Black Diamond is for this one. And
JP, what's up, brother?
good to see. We got to get him on the show too soon.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Actually remember the last time I got to be on a show with JP, actually with JJ on JJ's show when he was doing the Puente Friday stuff for Lord Puffer,
Uh-huh.
and he was busy, so he was doing it from the car, trying to be on and trying to take care of what he's taking care of. And we got to do it again, bro. We got to get on again. Um, let's see. I got to go Black Diamond on this one.
You gotta go
It's gonna
Black
be yeah,
Diamond.
that's gonna be my choice for today.
All right, fine. You know what? When I'm done here, I'm gonna grab a Black Diamond and I'll try it.
You know,
You will not be disappointed. I think you're gonna enjoy the heck out of it.
and like I said, I'd like the Room 101. I did. I've only
Oh,
had
yeah.
one. I did enjoy it. You know, and there was actually a cigar that I was looking for, and I ended up finding it down in Chula Vista. No, not Chula Vista. Where did I find it?
Wasn't it?
3 and 1, whatever city 3 and 1's in. I forget the city. Uh, and he had it, so I picked it up. But then we got a box of these, so I'm smoking more of these. And maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I've been going in more. 'Cause I've had more of these. But for me, it's a fuller flavored, a richer, more earthy cigar, and that's something that I really, really enjoy.
Are you usually like a full body smoker? Like that's
Yeah,
what yeah, your go to?
yeah, and that's actually something I talked to JJ about as well. Because if you're gonna smoke cigars, how do you start in the morning? Everybody's like, oh, I'll start with something light and work my way. I was like, no, give me that dark, rich, heavy cigar first thing in the morning.
Yep.
That's what I want.
You want to be slapped awake.
Exactly, exactly.
And real quick, sorry guys to do this to you. I'm gonna take this off screen for a second, and because we had the new partner for the show, Monkey Cult Coffee. I'm wearing the shirt. I had a cup to wake up this morning. The link is in the description, and the promo code is working. Baco Gent 661 for 10% off. So definitely a big thank you to those guys out there. And there's a lot more coming for you guys too, from those awesome people over there. Amazing coffee. Join the cult when you can, guys. All right. And then, yeah, it is, and for JP, real quick, it is a dime with new black and gold bands.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very new, incredible cigar. Again, incredible stuff. So you're not going to. Again, it's really hard because this is those moments where it's like hair shaves of which one's going to beat which one's out. So just for today, for right now, if I'm going to be honest, I have to go with the Black Diamond. I definitely recommend you try it. Yeah.
Oh, we got our primo Oscar Rodriguez joining us. I don't know if you caught Monday's show,
Yeah.
but we were smoking your cigars on Monday's show.
Loving the hell out of it. There's a puro, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
La Cura.
La Cura. Sorry, La Cura.
So, you guys, if nobody else is going to defend it, we're going to put it in for the JC Newman Black Diamond.
Yeah, I think what's it called? Yeah, I think Black Diamond wins this one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's the first one right there. So we'll have that written down. So we don't have to switch screens right now. It's T52 versus Supreme Leaf.
All right, I know exactly where T52 is one of my all-time favorite cigars.
Mhm.
I mean, I smoke 2 or 3 a week, so that's mine all day.
I will have to. And another T52 is getting a lot of love. I'm going T52. We're still saying. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, we went Black Diamond too. It is filling up.
You know what? It's really interesting. I'm like watching the comments here, and what you like to smoke in the morning versus what you like to smoke in the evening. And a lot of times, I will start with something milder in the morning with coffee.
Mhm.
But lately, I've been moving to like a solid medium. Something like right around a solid medium. It's not going to kick my ass, but it's also going to have like a good amount of flavor to it. But I'm still a sucker for Connecticut's.
Oh, yeah. If you find that
yeah,
good Connecticut to
I
wake
mean,
up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a kick of like 3 months. This was like a year and a half ago, where all I did was smoke Connecticut's. I was like, I got to try every Connecticut there is. I want to know all of them. And then that became like an early morning smoke. I'd sit out on the deck, have some coffee. This morning though, I went Cuban. I had an H. Upman for breakfast this morning with my nitro cold brew.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, you guys, it looks like, yeah, the T52 runs away with this one.
Yeah. And again, let's give Terrence and everyone over at Aggie North Leaf the due they deserve, because the Supreme Leaf is a phenomenal.
It is.
But I think the more readily available now T52. I think the Flying Pig size in particular is just iconic. And that's those are all pluses for it. There's no minuses for the Supreme.
Right.
So it's like two. They're both at 10s, and then one gets that 11th point just because of that amazingness.
Mhm, mhm.
I cannot wait. If you haven't tried it yet, you should definitely try both of them out there, guys.
That the Black Label Aganorsa Maduro is also phenomenal. And you know what? Honestly, the signature is great too. I think basically I'm a fan of everything that Aganorsa Leaf is doing. So they're all good. They're all worth smoking for sure.
Oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
Guardians of the Farm, the Lunatic. I mean, even the stuff they do with Gurkha when they did a couple of their blends.
Yeah.
They just whatever they're doing is 100% on board. I'm on board with. All right, it just seems like it's going to be one of those companies. I can't think of an Aganorsa Leaf that I wouldn't enjoy
Right.
at one time or another. I can't think of that moment. Like, you know what, this is perfect for after a big meal. This is perfect to start the day. They've got something for everything. So it's
Yeah,
definitely
I love that. I love when when someone's got something where it's like, oh, these are great for different times, different pairings. I want it in the morning, I want it in the evening, or after a big steak with a big steak.
that's what I don't know if I can do that. I'm gonna move this to the side for a second. I can't smoke and eat very often. Is that something you do? I just can't do it.
So normally I don't, mainly because I don't smoke inside my house. I always smoke outside. And I don't usually eat outside. Um, but I did at the Red Meat Lovers Club
Mm.
dinner down at Great Smoke 2 weeks ago now, which was it was like a badass event. Evan just absolutely crushed it with the food. The steaks were incredible. Michael Herklotz, I love that guy. He was there. He hosted. So I had the Elegancia and the Generoso with dinner, and it was excellent. So it definitely was a unique experience for me because I don't normally eat and smoke at the same time, but definitely the steak is a great compliment to to a good cigar for sure.
Mhm.
It makes sense. That definitely makes sense, especially the way they do it. They it's the whole event is prepared for you to smoke and eat. So I think that's a really good idea. And I know we want to do something like that here too. It'd be a lot of fun. Get some stuff on the
We
West
need
Coast.
stuff like that on the West Coast, man. I mean, East Coast. I mean, yeah, they have Ybor City and Tampa, which is basically the hub of cigars. But
The Mecca.
we need stuff like that over here. We have good weather, we have good venues. It's just the taxes and the politics that kill it here, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, ironically enough, I'm right here in DC. PCA headquarters is right down the street. Um, yeah, the legislative side of everything going on right now with cigars is absolutely insane. I've been over to PCA and talked to those guys, and um, yeah, I'm really hoping that generational ban doesn't pass in California.
Yeah,
I feel like it's going to have a domino effect if it does. There'll be other states to follow. I mean, the taxes have already gotten insane. So, yeah, Paul, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's we're really fighting it. We're doing our best, but it feels like there's always something they're thinking of. They're thinking of
yeah.
another way to word it or to add in some sort of additional um blockage for companies to do business. And not just cigars, but across the board it feels like in California.
Except for marijuana, which I mean, I'm not against it. If that's your thing, that's your
They
thing.
go for it, whatever.
Well,
But we
well,
have
it's
so
ironic.
many because they have billboards where, oh, we'll get you your weed in 2 hours. Just order it from us. But cigars, it's like they're trying to ban them, and it's just
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense, does it?
yeah,
not at all. No, not at all. But
I mean, it's a cash crop in California, though, right?
yeah.
I mean, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Northern California grows a lot of the marijuana for the rest of the state, both medicinally and recreationally.
oh yeah,
And then taxes.
Yeah, from the
That's
Central
that's
Valley up,
added,
it's
added
relevant.
revenue for the state. Look, I mean, Colorado went the same way, but that's a whole other topic. Sorry.
but yeah, but you're absolutely not wrong though, and I don't fault them for making some money, but there's still money to be made in the cigar industry. There's a lot of cigar smokers in California. Even
There
though
are.
it's a minority everywhere. Obviously, I think it's like 3 to 4% across the U.S. smoke cigars. Not a big deal, but they are still enjoying their culture. We're still enjoying our passion, and it's okay to tax somewhat. That's fine. I understand that, but the increases and increases and increases to the point where I mean, there's New York, Utah, and us
Yeah,
are just ridiculous now.
Well, I think New York is up to like 75% now, and they
yeah,
want to move to 90. I mean, that means your $8 stick is now around 19, $20.
yeah.
Just imagine your more expensive sticks are not even going to be worth buying.
Well,
You don't have to go online, and I'm not honestly sure how that works. If you're in New York and you purchase online from another state, do you still pay New York taxes, or do you pay the state that you're buying
you're
from?
in.
Or,
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
confusing.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then they all want to move the way of what is Australia and Canada, where white boxes are the way. Plain white boxes with just a description of the cigar, no more
Canada,
artwork. Yeah,
I have a friend in Canada smokes, and and I think it was like 10 years ago in Canada, they passed some legislation that no new cigars would be brought into the country. So my friend who lives in Montreal, all he smokes is Oliva. He literally smokes the Melanio almost every day. I mean, it's a great stick,
Oh, yeah, so good. Yeah.
but I mean, I wouldn't want to smoke the same stick every single day because that's just me. But they don't get anything new, and it's always a white band with a black, with black print that says whatever it is, because they don't have the advertising there, which really detracts, I think, from the cigar. I mean, there's some beautiful bands out there.
Yeah.
It just allows expression and culture and history to be imparted into the cigar in that presentation. Why would you not want that? So
Yeah, and our buddy Daniel, who's over in the Great White North now, talking about he's got the plain bands now. Prices are crazy. I mean, I don't even know how to combat it all. That's why we're lucky, like Paul put in the thing, to have people like Cigar Rights and the PCA, trying to put a foothold and just saying, hey, we're still here. We still want this. Please stop, taxing us to death. Stop, banning us. It'd be really nice to just get a little more, I guess, fairness in this fight. It would be very nice to see that.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I've been fortunate enough just to have some interactions with PCA folks here, just because I'm right here, and I tell you what, they're working really hard. I mean, they are constantly working on trying to get involved in the legislation, and help. But they it's funny because Congress wants to keep the tobacco industry out of the writing of legislation, which is interesting because they're the ones that know the most. But yeah, I won't get on a soapbox about politics and tobacco. But it's funny. I grew up in Southern Virginia, down in the country, and man, tobacco is a huge cash crop for Virginia. It's actually one of the birthplaces of tobacco in America, right? I mean, Jamestown, Native Americans were smoking tobacco here, on the East Coast for a very long time. So, it's kind of amazing that they want to take away our right to something that's growing out of the ground very naturally everywhere. At least it's not. Hey, it could be worse. It could be synthetic vape or cigarettes or something like that, right? Like, this is just pure, beautiful tobacco.
That's very hard to explain that to people sometimes. Like, we actually did an event here in town at a country club where they let us set up a booth to push our cigars, because we have our brand out right now.
Yeah.
And, there was a little girl and her mom walking by and said, "Oh, what are cigars?" And the mom's like, "It's like a big cigarette." And I don't want to. I can't correct the mom in front of her daughter. That's like, no, her business.
I get it.
It made me want to just say, well, technically no, miss. I'm sorry, but wrong. There's still the stigma. The stigma is still there.
Absolutely, and I think because it's the cigar industry in general is relatively small. I mean, for the tobacco market writ large, I think it only constitutes like 3%. So it's very small, and a lot of, because it's not something people see all the time. They just don't understand that it's different. So my daughter's 10, and ironically enough, she just went through DARE training at school, and she was like, "Papa, did you know cigars are bad for you?" I was like, "Yes, honey, but we can talk about this, but I hope they were teaching you about vapes and cigarettes too." I can go on all day.
You know what? I'm gonna change the topic here.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, we're gonna go something else.
I want to know what your thoughts on someone's getting in to bourbon, or they've been into bourbon for a little while, and they want to start a collection. What is one bottle you'd say is a good for a beginner that wants to spend maybe $30? Someone intermediate maybe wants to go up to 80, 90, and someone who wants to buy something a little bit more expensive.
Yeah. So bourbon's really interesting. From pre-COVID till now, drastic change. The bourbon world saw a massive influx of people who started drinking during COVID, and now so the prices of bottles have gone up, the allocations have gone down, the supply went way down when demand rose. So it's really interesting. I mean, it's cool that a lot of people are interested in it, but it's also made things incredibly difficult to get.
Mm-hmm.
if you're someone new, I would always recommend something that's sitting on the shelf that's always available. I always say Elijah Craig Small Batch. It's 94 proof. It's $35. It's always on the shelf, and it's delicious. I mean, it's delicious. Um, best bang for your buck bottle for anyone is Old Forester 1920. It's 115 proof. It's absolutely delicious. Notes of like dark cherry. The proof, it drinks under 115, so it doesn't kill you. And it's always available. It's part of their Whiskey Row series. And then if you really want to spend some money, single barrels are always fun. I'm part of a bourbon group here. We've been buying barrels for a couple years now. So we go out to Kentucky, sometimes Virginia, different distilleries, and we pick our own barrel, and then they bottle it for us, and then we put some fun stickers on there. Absolutely. I love NBC, like Nashville Barrel Company. They're doing some really kick-ass stuff. The owners are really nice. I've been out there. If you want to go crazy, so Preservation Distillery in Bardstown. So the owner, Marcy, has been purchasing. During the 80s, she purchased a bunch of Stitzel Weller weeded bourbon. I'm talking 17-year weeded bourbon from Stitzel Weller, who they were the ones that were making Pappy with Julian. So she bought these barrels from Julian and then vatted them so they wouldn't age, and then started bottling them a few years ago. And she's got some incredible offerings. Bardstown Bourbon Company is doing some really cool stuff with their Fusion series. They're coming out with a lot of different things. Let's see. I mean, you can always go the route of Pappy if you want to spend a ton of money. But
Yeah.
Personally, it's overrated. The 15-year is good, but I'm not going to spend $1,500 on it. It's not worth it. There's too much out there. I'd rather go with a pick of something. Who's really doing some great stuff now is Rare Character. Pablo out of California is doing some incredible barrels. They have some Amberana finish that I've been drinking. It's people like to call it like the cigar blend because it's got this. So it's a Brazilian Amberana cask, but it just imparts a really unique note to the bourbon. So I've got some, and it's kind of like a Christmassy nutmeg cinnamon. I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. Pairs great with a cigar. I actually smoked the first time I opened the bottle. I smoked it with a Opus X Lost City, and it was like, yeah, this is hidden.
Now, real quick, not to cut you off, but
Yeah, no, go ahead.
that does bring me to another quick question. I need to kind of a segue. Is there a certain bourbon or whiskey that you drink with the majority of cigars, so that you know what you're getting from the bourbon, so the other notes you're getting from the cigar, but that one bourbon at least a constant?
So I'm really funny about this, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised to hear me say that I don't. So I drink a lot of high proof bourbon. Everything I drink is generally 115 and above. However, when I've paired everything with cigars, and I would rather smoke with a Scotch, something that's light, less sweet. Bourbons are great, but if you're gonna drink bourbon with a cigar, I would keep it at 100 proof or below, because what ends up happening is you scorch your palate. And if I really want to enjoy the bourbon, but I really want to enjoy that cigar, you got to go lower proof, because if you don't, you're getting too much on one end and then you're getting too much on the other end, and they basically cancel each other out. Your taste buds go numb. So actually today I am drinking Macallan 12. Just a nice, easy, smooth, velvety, soft Scotch. I think anything that's soft plays well off a cigar. There are folks out there that totally disagree. They think that if you're going to have a full body cigar, you want to have like a really strong, barrel proof bourbon that's like Booker's or something. Elijah Craig barrel proof that's at 132 proof. But man, let me tell you something. When you get that high, you start scorching your taste buds. And by the time you get like one or two glasses in, you're not going to taste the cigar and you're not going to taste the bourbon. Right? That's my opinion. I mean, I enjoy, Japanese whiskeys are also good. Man, I had a Hibiki. I mean, I got lucky. A friend of mine has everything, and he brought us a Hibiki 21, which was beautiful. It's got some very nice floral notes to it. And it's not high proof, and it pairs really well. So yeah, I always say go with something a little less in proof, so that way you get more from both.
Makes
I
sense.
love that because honestly, when you said Scotch, for me, it's always been Johnny Walker Black. That was one of
Hmm.
the first scotches I've ever had that I paired with cigars, and I was pulling notes out from both. And so
Hmm.
from then on, it's been like, okay, if it's a new cigar and I want to pair with something other than coffee, other than water, it's going to be the Johnny Walker Black. So I love that you said that. And then I think Paul had a
Yeah.
question about
Let me bring that back on screen real quick. Yeah.
what is the smoothest whiskey or bourbon you'd recommend to a novice starting to pair with cigars?
I would go with a weeded bourbon, like a Maker's Mark, just because it's going to be softer. Wheat imparts a very soft flavor to your bourbon, whereas rye is going to impart more spice. So if you go with a high rye bourbon like a Four Roses single barrel, you're getting too much spice, and I don't pair ryes with cigars either, just because of that, because there's too much on the palate, and I think it overwhelms it.
Hmm.
Um, I like finished whiskeys with cigars because they tend to be a little bit rounder. We did Armagnac finish from Starlight out in Indiana. I think that pairs really well. Sometimes like a white port finish, Labatt or something like that. A port actually is really good. Like if you pair a port with a cigar, oh, it's great. I mean, I've kind of tried to play around with everything. And the sleeper. Cigar Lover 12 told me about tea, black tea and herbal
Yes.
tea. Man, it totally changed my game during the summer. I would sit out on the deck, and I honestly, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm not trying to drink a lot of bourbon, but I went to doing some of those cold infused herbal teas with a cigar. Man, it really is a game changer. It's a lot of complementary flavors, right? So
Mhm.
I definitely recommend trying a tea. But yeah, with bourbon, keep it weeded or keep it low rye for sure. Um, yeah, that's my recommendation.
And I also like the tea recognition. We were at El Septimo Hollywood with JP a couple weeks back, right before my birthday, and tea was one of the options, and they had tea, and I was like, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah.
I like that.
It's good. I mean, they're both natural leaves that coming from the ground, so you get a lot of that mineral rich organic flavor to it that's going to complement the cigar really well too, because that's the same thing. You
Hmm.
know.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. I think it's always there too. It's most places have tea. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that you got to find your own one that you really enjoy as well.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's another whole rabbit hole of just someone to come on the show sometime and just talk tea, temperatures to boil it at, or to
Oh
not
yeah.
boil. Yeah, I've learned very quickly that I don't do tea right, and I'm like, damn, I thought I was enjoying it. Was that not correct? Like, nah, you gotta. There's a ritual. There's definitely ritual to your tea.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the coffee connoisseurs out there too. It's the same with tea. There's a lot to know, different types and different blends, and how to steep it, how long to steep it. And I do love my coffee. I mean, I do cold brew and I do nitro, and I love the nitro from Starbucks mostly because where I live, that's basically what's available. But the velvety kind of like it's a rich velvety texture to it, so it lets the cigar kind of shine through, but still getting those cocoa notes. If you get something like a T52 or a 9, anything that's got some chocolatey espresso notes to it, man, it really pairs great with a nitro.
And I'm a big fan of nitro beers because, again, the silkiness you get from that more uniform bubble,
Yes.
it's unlike anything else. The first time I had it, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I fell in love with nitro cold brew like years ago, and now anywhere if I go to a new coffee shop, I'm like, hey, I wonder, do they have nitro here? Yeah, I'm gonna try that. You know, but yeah, I love it with cigars.
Hmm.
I like it. I like it. All right, guys. So I think we've waited long enough. I think it's time to bring it back on to reveal the T52 as champion. I mean,
Shit.
we'll pick whatever's going to be next. So we'll bring that back on screen, guys. we did do the first round already for those who are just joining us, and it was the J.C. Newman
Actually, you know
Black
what?
Diamond.
Give me a second.
Oh, sure.
Give
What's
me
up?
a second. Just keep talking.
All right. It was the J.C. Newman Black Diamond that beat out the Room 101, and that was the 12 year. And the T52 from Drew Estates beat out the Aganorsa Leaf Supreme Leaf. Again, 4 amazing cigars. I would say all 32 we started this list with were some real heavy hitters. So it's impressive to see what we have come down to throughout this March, the Cigar Madness. And I'm excited to see what happens next year. And it is back in the finals. T52 again, back to where it belongs, because it is a champion of a cigar. Okay, don't get me wrong. There are amazing cigars across the board out there. There are so many good companies, and that takes nothing away from anybody else. But these ones right here absolutely deserve their spots at where they are right now. And I am excited to obviously which one I'm going to pick. It's in my hand right now. I smoke them quite regularly. Everything from that flying pig to the cigarillos. Even if I get my hands on those, I like them all. I think they are just phenomenal cigars. It was probably when I first started getting into cigars, getting more into the geekier side of it. You know, when you're not just an enthusiast anymore, then you get into all the nuance and everything else. That Liga T52 and the Flying Pig is just so iconic, and it will lead you into wanting to know more about cigars. That is just my opinion.
I sent you a quick picture if you want to.
No, I totally agree with that.
Let me bring this down. Sorry.
Now, I will say I do like Drew Estate. You know, they've been a long time partner with the show, and the T52 is amazing. Again, I prefer the 9. That's just me. Uh, but I like the richer, bolder, heavier flavors from the Black Diamond. And that again, that is the old band. The new band is with the gold on it,
Yes.
and it's gold and black instead of the blue and silver. But it's one t-shirt fine. Uh, for me again, the fuller bodied cigar for me is the winner.
It looks like Paul is going to vote for T52 as well.
Paul's disqualified.
What? I don't see how that happened.
What did Jeff vote for?
Jeff, let's see.
So Jeff gets 2 votes.
What?
Anybody else?
Well, if you keep getting the way you're voting, Tom. Unfortunately, Tom, the Supreme Leaf is out now.
Yeah.
It is only between the T52 and the Black Diamond.
I should have, you know what I should have done? I should have grabbed the Black Diamond when I walked in here, so that way I could try that. But I love the 52, so I mean, I love it. I love it.
So you both are T52 plus Paul's T52. It's me and
Tom is going T52. Yep.
shit.
Or was it? Disqualified. Wow.
So it's just me and Jeff on the Black Diamond.
We'll give you guys a second longer because I know JP was also in the T52 camp. So I have a feeling that it's going to win. Daniel had to go.
Didn't JP say he said T52 for the win-win? He said all the way.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Guys, we can't have this. It'll be back to back for the T52, you guys.
I'm not sad about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man, I thought this year we had a whole new bracket of cigars, returning champion, couple returning from the previous year.
I think like 4 maybe.
I did not think the T52 would do it again, and it went up against some really good cigars. I mean, it just went up against the Supreme Leaf.
Yeah.
So now it's up against the Black Diamond. I mean, wow, that's incredible.
There's just something about those Liga blends that they smoke beautifully. The construction's great. The flavors are great. And I love the smoke production off of the Ligas.
And I can't say that because you're absolutely right.
The smoke production is killer. The retro is always phenomenal. I like the 9 too, but 9's like just behind the 52 for me personally. But man, you just can't go wrong. Anytime we get 52s in the shop, I buy a box every time. And the feral pigs too. Those are another. all of those cigars are so damn good.
Oh yeah.
I will
You
be
can't go
honest.
wrong.
The lounge that we go to, they've got 52s, they've got nines, and I mean they're never out. So if you don't mind paying California prices, we have them readily available here.
That is right.
Usually in Virginia, you don't usually see them that often. Actually, most places I go, folks are like, "Yeah, I never see the Liga Privada line. Like, we'll get like a box here or a box there." We've been fortunate. We have the Cigar Town shops do a ton of business with Drew Estate, sell a ton of Drew Estate. So, we're fortunate enough to get a decent amount of the Ligas.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
very good thing because I didn't realize how hard it was to find them sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we've always been with our Drew Estate or Drew Diplomat store, and I didn't realize that was part of the deal, that you can only get so much unless you are a Drew Diplomat or unless you do enough business. And once I learned that, I realized how spoiled we were to have them pretty much readily available.
It's the same in the bourbon world, actually. So, depending when you go to states where it's independently owned and not state run, like Virginia is a state run ABC, so they get a certain amount of allocation per year, no matter what. But if you go to a privately owned liquor store somewhere, let's say here in DC, you may have to sell 6 cases of some crazy shitty vodka to get the opportunity to purchase 2 allocated bottles of something from, let's say, Buffalo Trace.
Oh, wow.
So that would be
Wow.
any of your Pappies, your Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, maybe some of the E.H. Taylor, special editions that come out, like the 4 Grain or the Amaranth or something like that, or the Barrel Proof. It's just like that with bourbon. You have to sell a certain amount with them before they give you the allocated stuff.
Hmm.
I guess that makes sense, though. It's sought after.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And I'll ask you just. I'm pretty sure we're done, but just in case anybody wants to get involved, how has the secondary market affected resales of bourbon?
So look at his face. I hate it. The secondary market back in the mid 20 teens was, you could get a old Rip Van Winkle 10-year for like $300. I think now it's upwards of $900 to $1,000 for a 10-year weeded. And personally, it's not worth it. Prices have absolutely skyrocketed, and I'm talking crazy skyrocket. Like, and it's made it hard because people over the last couple of years, when they found something, they would buy all that they could, and then they go to the parking lot and take a picture and sell it right there. So you got a huge market of people out there who are just flipping, for profit, which I've always been against that. I don't like that. I've been to stores where maybe I had 2 bottles and the guy behind me was like, "Oh man, I was really trying to get one of those," and I've literally handed it to the guy and was like, "Hey, here you go. I'd rather you enjoy one than me keep 2." Just for the fun of it, because I can, It's like cigars. Like, everyone should enjoy, and with bourbon, I think the same thing. Everyone should be able to enjoy it. No one should have 15 cases of anything sitting at home, keeping someone else from drinking it. That's my opinion.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Now
it's
I feel like an asshole now, and I'll tell
sorry.
you why. I'm a big fan of Jack Daniel's Sinatra. From the first time I had it in Vegas to finding it here at Bevmo, of all places, and now I guess it's discontinued. So if you find it, that's it. And there was 2 bottles at Bevmo, and they said you could only buy one. So I was like, "Hey, here's $100. You're buying the other one."
Yeah.
So I bought both of them, but now I feel like an asshole.
No, I've seen people literally come into a store, and this is early COVID days, and they would say, I want to buy the whole case of Buffalo Trace. And we're like, well, that's like, I think it comes in a case of 6. I can't remember, maybe 12 for standard Buffalo Trace. But I'm like, that's like 6 other people or 5 other people who aren't going to get a bottle because you want all of them.
Yeah.
If it's, that's why. So that's actually one of the reasons I've also fell in love with the cigar community, because it's just a different vibe. I can't tell you the number of times I've been sitting in the lounge talking to someone randomly, and they're like, "Oh, have you tried this stick?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." oh, here you go, I got one with me, have it.
Yeah.
Man, that's just like the coolest thing. You're never going to get that in the bourbon community. No one's going to say, oh, well, like, you've never had that? I've got extra bottles, and I'll sell it to you for retail. Most people are like, oh, yeah, well, I'll sell it to you for, like, twice MSRP. It's still under secondary, but, like, nah, man, come on. That's just me. Maybe I'm just old school, and I was in it before, it became super, super popular where people were flipping for profit. And, I've never understood. The thing is like these people will run around from store to store to store to store to get as many bottles as possible. Do these people not work? I mean, are you that desperate for money that you're going to make,
that is their
40
job.
extra
They're making and
dollars?
flipping it. That's their
Yeah.
job.
Like
there are
those
people
guys
that do
with
live
the
off of it.
shoes.
Yeah, the guys that buy the new Jordans and sell them.
Yeah.
I saw this one guy. He spent $2,500 or something on like a bunch of different Jordans, and none of them sold. He's like, he was so pissed. I was like, oh, that's the gamble you take, brother.
Don't do that. Yeah.
It is. Exactly.
Oh man. Well, I am moving this off screen because we know who the winner is, guys. Unfortunately, Frankie, your hopes were dashed, but mine were approved. I confirmed. I knew this guy was going to win. I saw
Hey,
it coming.
I approve.
Yeah. See, there we
And
go.
you guys, I will hand it to the T52 2 years in a row. I mean, there was some fantastic cigars in this competition. Obviously, the Black Diamond, Supreme Leaf, the Olmec, the Saka Khan, El Septimo was in here, the Oliva Sirvi Milanio. And it's incredible that 2 years in a row you guys vote for the T52. So I will.
And those are all great cigars.
They are. It's incredible that some cigars that are just phenomenal are out in the first round, and this one won last year and it won again. So congratulations to Drew Estate and the T52.
Oh my gosh, Paul. They get one just so he can't say it's rigged anymore. Boom. That's exactly right. Frankie does not get final vote on this, unfortunately for him. But thank you guys so much for watching. Justin, we're going to let you go in just a second. But is there anything you want to make sure people know or what you have coming up soon that you want to make sure you get the word out about?
If you happen to be in Virginia, Northern Virginia, please hit me up on Instagram. And I would love to have a smoke with you. Take you over to the shop. Soon I'm going to have some, stock of some boutique cigars that we don't normally carry. So absolutely love to talk to you about that. And I just enjoy talking. So, if anyone's out there and you just want to chat about cigars, feel free to hit me up. You want some recommendations on bourbon or whatever it is, always happy to have a conversation.
Perfect. All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching with us. Don't forget, I think JP put it in there, we are doing the 365 cigar raffle. 25% of all tickets sold is going to go to Cigars for Warriors. It's $40 a spot. Or if you get the sample pack, which is all of our cigars in a lineup, $100, you get 15 sticks. You will get a spot in the entry as well. So if you guys want to try out Pariah cigars, you can try literally every facing we have in one bundle shipped to you for $100. Definitely sign up for Cigars for Warriors, guys. Check it out, and we will catch you all very soon. All right, y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there.
Enjoy it, guys. Thanks.